Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Friends of Rick. I'm here with a great buddy of mine, another badass lady, Sharon Mandell, the CIO of Juniper. How you doing, Sharon?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you coming. I know how busy you are these days. Let's back this sucker up. So we met in 2002. Why? Why did we meet? You had just come out here.
I had come out here from Chicago to be the CTO of Knight Ridder Digital. So we were running the newspaper websites for 28 newspapers across the United States. And we met because the first day I came to work, all the websites were down during prime time. And had some interesting relationships, partner relationships to unwind from. And you were the arms dealer to the .com era, so you came in on your white horse and helped me out a lot.
Yeah, no, that was really fun. And Sharon learned earlier that 2002 was kind of a rebuilding year in Silicon Valley. She had just gotten here. But I was kind of desperate for your business, so I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, but you brought great talent.
Yeah, no, that was always the case. So you come out here in 2002 from Chicago, and you were at Knight Ridder Digital. What were the early days of online media like? Whereas today, print is dead, right?
Yeah. It was challenging, right? So we were disrupting a legacy business from inside the company. The people funding us didn't really want us there. They didn't necessarily understand what was coming down the line in the future. So it was this constant balancing act of educating those people about technology, how it could impact their business, how things might look very different 5 years down the road. But yet you still needed to support those businesses because they were paying the bills, right? In the early years, as you said earlier, no one was making any money, and you had to turn that around. So 2002 was the year of cash flow positive in the newspaper business.
Yeah. So you're in an industry that is in some ways in denial of what's going on, right? The transformation that's going on. You're part of that transformation, so you're not necessarily popular with some of the old school thinking within.
Yeah, but you create relationships and you educate, and that's part of the role. And you put your head down and do what needs to be done, regardless of the commentary going on around you, and you deliver results, and people start to develop trust, because you do what you say you're going to do, and they may never, jump up and down when you arrive at their door, but they might tolerate you.
Yeah. So is that a core skill for a modern day CIO? Would you say that ability to kind of listen and build that relationship and that trust?
Yeah, I think empathy is one of the top skills you have to have. You have to be able to put yourself almost as an actor into another role, and you have to understand, what your users and your customers are trying to accomplish, and get out of your own head and view it from their point of view and deliver the experiences that they want.
Yeah.
And that they need to be productive and to get on with their business.
I think CIO is a really hard job. Because you got to keep a lot of people happy with a budget, right? That doesn't necessarily allow for the keeping of happiness.
Enough money. Yeah. But I had a friend while I was a CTO, so
I
started as a CTO. I think CIOs, it is a much harder job, which is maybe why I like it.
Yeah.
It's more challenging. So
the CIO job's harder in your opinion than the CTO job.
So the CTO job was about building a product for an audience that you might not ever truly come in contact with, right? So you have a vision, you're working on a collaborative vision with product managers, you build to that vision, and once you think you've hit it, you ship it, and then you move on to the next vision, and you iterate there. And the proof is in the market. Do people show up? But you're not really there with the users, right? When you're in an enterprise, you're delivering the technology and you got to sit across the table from that person you delivered it to. And I always say the CIO job is where the technology vision meets reality, and it's not usually pretty. and it's our job to then go fix that and fill those gaps.
Yeah.
And adjust, and that's negotiations with vendors, that's negotiations with users, that may be managing your own team to enhance what didn't deliver out of the box, but again, it is all about listening and understanding what people want.
My impression, I agree with you, is that CTOs have in some ways, I hadn't thought about it until you said it, an easier job in many ways, a more important job in other ways, right? If that product doesn't ship,
well, right.
Houston, we
if
have
there's
a problem.
no product, there's no need for a CIO.
But the business acumen doesn't need to be as strong, probably.
Yeah, it probably depends on the nature of the product.
Because you got to talk to the sales guys and the marketing guys and the finance guys.
Well, that's why I like the job, and why I like the job in Silicon Valley inside tech companies is because I'm often the target customer of the product. So I get to have an opinion and a point of view on the product, and I get to share that in the company and hopefully have influence. But I get to see how the business works from when the lead comes in the door all the way around to when we deliver service and go to upsell them and try to keep them and get them to come back.
Yeah.
So I get to feed both sides of my brain that way, which is really nice.
So you were at Knight Ridder, not a tech company, but on a tech journey. Then you went to a startup, Black Arrow, I think.
Yeah, I did a little work at Yahoo as a consultant.
And you were at Yahoo. So quickly on Yahoo. So that's sort of news media stuff, right? Mixed with
it
being
was
a tech company at the same time.
Yeah, I think Yahoo thought of itself as a tech company, perhaps displacing traditional media. I think what they found out is, the internet's global, national in scale, but how do you go get those local business dollars? And that's what newspapers knew how to do really well. So at some point they
Entered Sharon Mandell. We need Sharon for this gig.
they needed some help negotiating a relationship and defining what those products would be and who had the sell roles, who got to keep what parts of the pie.
Yeah.
And it was called the Newspaper Consortium, and I was very involved in making that happen. I think those relationships are, fraught with challenges. Because again, it's, for the newspapers, they probably felt like they were inviting the wolf to the den, and Yahoo didn't understand that legacy business and why they thought they had something important, right? Because they were just on this crazy growth trajectory. So it was interesting times.
Yeah. No, I remember that time and when you were there. So then you've been CIO of some tech companies since then. I know TIPCO was one. I know Harmonic was another. And now you're at a whale. You're the CIO of Juniper Networks. That's a huge undertaking. First of all, congratulations. And second of all, condolences, because that has to be a hard job.
It's, the company, it's actually been a lot of fun since I've joined. The company, about a year before I started, acquired a company called Mist that was really rethinking how to use the cloud, how to use artificial intelligence, machine learning to change the experience of running a network, which had gotten increasingly complex, fraught with challenges, easy to make mistakes that have very large impacts. And they went to change that fundamental experience from how it was sold to when the product landed, on your doorstep, getting time to value, and getting network architects and engineers focused on higher order problems, not the noise, like why can't I find the Wi-Fi hotspot? So, and now, making sure that that company got integrated into Juniper without crushing the baby was definitely something they were very thoughtful about. And I came in at the time where we were really starting to think, how do we bring the best of that back to all of Juniper's historical products? So again, it became about customer experience and And for me, the experience isn't just the product when you buy something, right? It's your relationships with the salespeople. Is billing and financials an easy experience, or do I have to fight with them about everyone? When I call customer support, can I get support in the way I need it? Like maybe I feel I need to talk to a person. Maybe I just want to go find out and try to fix things on my own. So I think, one of the challenges with startups is they're so focused on product market fit, and then they find it, but you have to actually create a business that in totality works for the customer. And I feel like we're on this transformation journey to do both that with the product, but that product is more and more intimately connected with the back office, and we have to make that a really delightful experience the way we all expect to buy and service things easily in our personal lives.
I always thought, and my experience with local CIOs is that they worked at these tech companies where their department was maybe the 7th most technical in the company, starting with the CEO, who was probably the founder that created the damn thing to begin with. What has that looked like for you at Juniper? I mean, there must be a lot of opinions and a lot of testosterone that goes with that.
Well, that's true in every tech company, and I find, engineers think because they can build things, they can operate them, and I always invite them to come join me when they have that opinion, because I probably thought the same thing when I was, focused on more technical things, and then when somebody asks you to take this different role, and suddenly you're not in control of building the product, but you have to operate someone else's product that has to integrate with 16 other products, you get a new perspective on what the challenges are. And to your point, there's business issues of budget. How do you manage tech debt but not spend money before you need to, because you're always under pressure to deliver new business capability? So there's a whole different set of considerations. And yes, my engineering expertise helps me do that job in certain ways better, but there's a whole set of other skills you have to bring.
But having the techie background has helped you at Juniper, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, so when you're in a technology company, you don't always get a lot of respect and you have to earn it, but then when you show up and you actually show them you actually do know something,
yeah, they know your stuff.
Then they sit back and they engage with you a little more.
Yeah.
When you can truly empathize with what they're trying to get done too, because you know it because you've been on that side of the house, it helps.
Yeah. 20 years ago, and I'm going to show Ilana a big word here, the lingua franca of boards was finance, and yet IT people were terrified of going before their board because they had to put together a PowerPoint presentation and they didn't quite know how to do that. How has that evolved? Because I sense it's evolved significantly, because I see more and more CIOs joining public boards, for example. I see more women becoming CIOs and joining public boards. And I would imagine that your MBA, has been helpful in this journey. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I call my MBA the gift that keeps on giving, right? So I found it very useful as a CTO because the CFO never expected the CTO to know what questions they were going to ask and to be prepared. And when you're not prepared, that's the easiest way to get it for a CFO to get rid of you and make you go away and not ask them for money. But University of Chicago trains the best CFOs in the world, so understanding what was going to be expected from me when I sat in front of that individual was really helpful, and it continues to help me when I sit in the C-suite and we have to make trade-offs. And yeah, I'm not getting all the dollars I want and that my department needs to do everything I want. Neither is anybody else, but I can put those decisions in better context. And it absolutely helps when you go speak to the board of directors, who are all typically CEOs, CFOs, although increasingly CIOs, because the new lingua franca of the audit committee is cybersecurity. And so they are really looking for someone to have a strong perspective, to give them guidance, to give them confidence that the right things are going on. And then when they're making decisions to invest large amounts of money in digital transformation, they want to have confidence in both your business and your technical savvy. So I enjoy talking to my board,
Very, very
and
cool.
I hope someday to actually be a board member.
Well, congratulations. You've done an amazing job, obviously, at Juniper and your entire career. It's been a pleasure just getting to know you over 20 years. And thank you for using us at every company you've been at. And my last question for you is if you can impart on the audience some words of wisdom, maybe even to women that want to get into the field, what would you say to people?
So for women in particular, I would say bring your thick skin and don't let the boys get you down. Look, they're getting each other down. It's not just you. And believe in yourself and really find somebody who recognizes your talent and your capability and have them help show you the way when you're learning. I had many, they weren't formal mentors, but I'll call them mentors. Most of them were great men because there weren't a lot of women around in my role. It's great when you have those. I also had some female role models, not necessarily in technology, but it was those great male allies that brought me along, and you were one of them because you were a guy who I could always count on to do the right thing in our business relationship. And that's why we're still here talking 20
Good
years
shit,
later.
man. Hey, Sharon Mandell, you guys. Woo! All right. A hug. Let's do a hug.